Whether this be your first video or your fourth, welcome. Once again, I'm working on my little animatic and I'm getting so close I can smell it. There are still a lot of technical things that I want to do, but I'm only going to do about half of them. This main scene right here that you see has been the bulk of the work because I've put a lot of detail in it that I didn't really need for an animatic, especially when you see how simple I am about to make the rest of it. This is what you have been seeing for the majority of the first 3 episodes of this little series. So I don't blame you if you're kind of bored of this, if you've been around. I mean, if not, this is a great time to join, honestly, because this is the very end of me working on the main scene that has like the most detail. So the biggest reason for the pause was to make these lights. And I do completely redo them one time. I didn't like the way they looked. I didn't work very hard on the lights and I was really lazy about it. So I decided to change that up a little bit. I also made them a lavender color to kind of make them pop because I'm using a lot of lavender and yellow in this. So I was really hoping that in some places it would look lavender and others it would just look gray because of the yellow. And it does have that effect, actually. So that turned out very good. Although the lights are a little harsh and I wish I would have animated the lights themselves a little bit differently, I just kind of, left it how it was. I think that's the last I do of it. I also do one last go around of his skin, and later on in this video I'm going to add his skin details because I completely forgot to add his scars and his skin blemishes and stuff, so that was kind of tricky because I have to mask it out in the video itself, but whatever. I think for what it was a pretty simple solution. Right now I'm just going around and I'm just making sure that everything looks okay, giving edges where edges need to be. As you can see, I just did this randomly. There was no pattern or whatever. I just did it. And then me just adjusting lights, going through any last minute little issues that I had. You can kind of see me fixing the symmetry a little bit of that picture frame. And this is where I animate out the lights. This low-key takes forever. I don't really know what to say on top of this, honestly. It's definitely been an experience working on this little animatic. It really kind of puts into perspective just how hard I am going to have to work to make my pilot. However, a new pilot came out recently. I can talk about that a little bit. I'll give you the name in a sec. I'm not going to say anything about the plot just because it's a very short pilot and you should go watch it. It's an independent artist, it looks like. And what they did was do it in a somewhat animatic or storyboard style, and they only have one scene that's actually colored and animated, but the whole thing is so good. I'm so excited about that. I'm always so excited to see new indie animation, and it helps kind of, help me out in the fact that it's okay if it isn't perfect. The purpose of me making my pilot first before anything else by myself is to bring awareness to what I'm creating, and that way I can do a Kickstarter, I can do merch, I can do whatever y'all want me to do so that I can make money and get this funded. And YouTube views alone, if it explodes on this channel and I become monetized, I might actually be able to afford stuff like a home, but mostly just creative stuff. And if I do a Kickstarter, obviously all of that will go to hiring a team to actually make this a thing, because I really do think this is a fantastic story, guys. I love the supernatural. I always felt like vampire stories just missed the mark. I've always wanted to make my own. It's supernatural in general, but only the slightest of spoilers that it's also kind of sci-fi, and it's kind of both, but you're not really supposed to know that early on. But you know what, I'll give you a little treat. If you stick with me on this project, there are so many twists and turns, you're going to be invested. Like, I'm so excited to make this thing. So I want to make this animatic. I want to make it so, you know, people look at my stuff, maybe it'll be cute, I don't know. It's been an art meme for a while, and I will also make a shorts version where I crop it to the cell phone size, even though I hate doing that. It crops out so much, but I'd rather just get it out there and people be like, yo, nice art, I guess. And yeah, whatever. So here I'm about to change the mouth. I never did take off the RGB mask problem, I just learned to work with it. But I draw his smile like a million times. Honestly, the first one was probably the best. Like, honestly. And then I was like, nah, it's not good. And then I draw it like 20 more times. Art is pain. And then thankfully, Photoshop is pretty convenient in the fact that once you change something in the piece, it'll change on the timeline of the video, of the animation. So that's pretty cool because it meant that the light cycle wasn't going to affect me changing the frames up. So it's smooth, it's nice. I did end up messing it up somehow where I accidentally made 2 frames. I made the lights invisible completely, and I was like, how did I do that? But whatever, that's not the point. I got it all fixed up, and I've been cropping it in Vegas like you see here. It's been really convenient just layering things on in Vegas. Here I'm recording me typing on my keyboard. When the characters talk, I'm just going to use keyboard sounds. So I'm going to go to the library in a couple days, and I'm going to get a thicker keyboard. And the louder, darker, more manly keyboard is going to be the character Seth. I got that idea from, you know, like Undertale, how they have the little beeps and whatever. Here I am reworking her completely. This is like plastic surgery right now. I didn't like how she looked, really. Like, the anatomy is not really off for the most part, especially after I do that, but for some reason it just didn't look right. The hair is really bad too. I think I never really worked on her hair at all, and so right here I kind of establish her face just to kind of like get everything good, and I throw in some shadows to just kind of help establish where things are supposed to be without actually drawing them in and overwhelming myself or getting off track. And here I remembered that I don't know how to make noses. And so I give that a break. I get frustrated, especially when something doesn't look the way I want it to. So I work on the chat bubbles. I, for some reason, decided to give them opposite colors. And I do hope that doesn't throw people off. So to remedy that before it fades into the animation itself, to be an overlay where he is green and the picture in the background is pink. And that way you know the green is him and the pink is her, even though he has the pink chat bubble and she has the green one. Because, you know, they're in love. So I'm going to fix that a little bit, but here was just me stitching everything together in Vegas. Also, for the record, this is like 70 hours of recorded footage, and I squeezed it into 25 minutes. I just draw really slow, you know? It takes me a while to do technical stuff, unfortunately. But I do go back over to her. And I'm starting to get the shape of everything better, but I change it again after this. Like, I'm not sure what I want her to look like, even though she's always been vital to the story that I've been making for years, literal years. I've been working on this story for so many years, and I never got her design down. I don't know, you know, she's dead. She's always canonically been dead, and I just always figured she would be pretty and she would have long wavy hair. And that's really all that I had established. Other than blue eyes, I think I I had already established that she would have blue eyes. But other than that, there wasn't really any character design as far as she went. So that's why this is such a struggle to me right now. I don't even know what this chick looks like, but here I am kind of evening everything out, making it look normal. This is again whenever I kind of chip away and I mold the drawing, because the shape is there, it's just a little off. So I spend more time on this, and spoilers for this WIP video, I guess, but I'm not gonna finish her. I'm still not finished with her. She's the second frame in this animatic, and I've been too frustrated to fix her up and make her look better. So I do fix her a decent amount here and for the next 2 minutes of recording, it looks like, but then I don't touch her after that. So just stick with me to see how I change her up. I, of course, darkened the black lines, or attempted to, because they were too harsh, because I'm using more of a lineless method for her, because again, it's supposed to be like a painting, so I need to keep it consistent with it looking like a painting. I'm just going in, adding details, just kind of making it look a little better. I do like the way that I make her face right here, like her eyes and her eyebrows, and then I, do the shadows, get an idea of where they should be. And as much as I complained about the nose, by the end of this, the nose actually looks really good. I actually give it definition and look at that nose, it looks really good. And then I add the shadow, makes it pop nice and good. I managed to draw lips, as terrible as I am at lips. Now we kind of have like a pretty nice face going on. Beforehand, it was just really messy. I didn't get a good base established for it. And here I just erase all of the hair. I was like, maybe I can make this work. And then I was like, no, absolutely not. Obviously, changing her face makes her body a little disproportionate. So I go back through with my shadows and I just carve it out, I paint it out, I mold it, I shape it, I kind of try to figure out what body shape I want her to have, because I never really considered that either. Again, I never thought about her character design, so that's why I just struggled so much here. I've drawn Seth 1,000, a million times. I've drawn Lynn 1,002 times, but I have never once drawn Seth's wife. So I do hope it's not too inconsistent with what the picture frame behind him looks like, and that they both look similar enough that it looks like the same freaking person. So I'm getting about to the end. Oh no, I guess I work on her for another minute or so. I'm just kind of, fixing her clothes a bit. I didn't look up any references for what time period this may be. I don't know. I figured a simple frilly dress would do the trick. Here I'm just getting the shape of the hair right, but I'm still not sure how I want her hair to shape her face. I don't know what hairstyle I'm going for. Just that it needs to be flowy. Again, just filling in shadows and stuff. Why is this one going so slow? Oh, probably because there were so many details to fix. I slowed that clip down. So again, shadows, moving stuff around, making sure that the shapes are right and that everything looks like it's right. I want to get my anatomy right. I don't want to make her too skinny. I don't want to make her anatomy look abnormal. A little uncanny, yeah. I do agree, it did look a little uncanny when I was making this. It's not terrible. It's just that with my style, how it can be either really, really detailed or really, really simple, it's hard to get that happy median, There was no reason for that text to be so freaking pretty. My handwriting is so nice sometimes. Right here, I forgot to record this part. I ended up putting the pink and the green over these mountains, and I animated it zooming in, I believe, at this point. If not, I didn't. Sorry, spoilers. So the first scene, he's going to be the valley and she's going to be the mountain. Try to kind of adjust it here because I accidentally saved it in the wrong resolution, so it didn't fit, and I was going to try to zoom in and make it work by panning it, and that did not work. So I just had to re-export the image as a PNG in the correct image resolution, and that fixed it up real quick. So I'm going to have the thing zooming into the picture behind him, and then it's going to turn into this mountain range. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. Is this slowed down too? Yeah, I slowed this one down a little bit too, so you could see what I was doing. I'm just kind of trying to perfectly line it up. I turn on the opacity, and I just try to get it the right, even with the other one, so then that way I can render it in the correct aspect with it being the correct size. Yeah, I'm just kind of painting the pink and the green. And don't worry, the entire animatic that I have thus far will be at the end. Here I am making a layer where the sky is just an even blue. I take off the clouds, put them on a new layer, and then I even out the sky behind it. That way I can have a layer that's just clouds, and then a layer that's just sky. Well, I think it's sky and mountains. Or maybe the layer's just sky. I don't remember. You might see it here in a sec. Take the clouds out. I trace them over, because since they were the background layer, there's no opacity behind them. The sky was the background. So I have to erase that out and then do all this jazz, and it turned out pretty good. Like, it's not bad for something that I'm trying to avoid putting too much effort into. It's perfect, So I throw it in here, and then I make it so that they float across. And this was when I realized that they're going to go over the mountains, so I need to make another layer with the mountains in the foreground to cover up the clouds in the background. But I saved it for later. First, I wanted to address the skin blemishes on Seth. He has been in a lot of terrible situations that has left him very injured, and I fixed his ear because he's supposed to have cauliflower ear because if your ear gets damaged enough, it does the thing. His other ear has like a kind of a chunk missing out of it, but you can't see it. So I changed that and I fixed that up, but then I realized that I did it on the scene with the mouth closed, but I didn't fix that for the scene where it is closed. So you'll notice at the end of this, his ear changes. I wanted to keep the other panels as simple as possible. I actually think that this one might be too simple, but I'm not entirely sure. I made the mistake of drawing all of this on the background layer, which meant that when I tried to separate the bee from the rest of it, it was, a white background. I didn't want to trace it back over, so I just decided to make this funky looking, sketched out background, and it doesn't look bad. I think what I don't like about this is there is a lack of color, and also the flower has blending on the inside of the petals, but it doesn't fit, and it kind of pops out a little bit, and you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. So I'm kind of considering putting in another layer of color to just kind of add a little bit of contrast and make it make a little bit more sense. You can see here is where I kind of tried to blend the flower, but it just doesn't work. I think it all needs to be a solid color, like solid two colors, with the dark green and the light green. But the way that I made it bounce around was really cute, and I think you're gonna see that kind of soon. But I'm just happy that that worked out, and it was super simple. It took me about 10 minutes. Again, I do want to add a little bit of contrast, even if that is adding some color on the outside, or I don't know, maybe I'll outline them or something. I'm not sure. I'll get there when I get there. So I returned back to the mountain, and like I said, I knew that I needed to put a foreground of a mountain, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm also fading the mountain out to kind of a grayscale, so then that way the pink and the green pop out from the rest of the painting, which grays down just a tad. It doesn't remove all the color though. And then here, this was my original sketch. So I'm drawing out the little mouse, and this is pretty nice to watch. I'll go ahead and not talk during this part. So I save each individual layer as a PNG and I stack them up, baby, just like that. Bada bing, bada boom. Each thing on the screen is its own artifact. So as you could see, we're getting somewhere. For this, I had to look up a reference photo, and because I want to keep it simple, I figured I would make it artistic and just part of a deer. Don't worry about filling in the rest of its body. The river is pink, so it's her. And then I'm going to draw a rock, which is him. Something I want to add is I want to add more rocks around his rock, so then it doesn't look so peculiar. It just looks like one single rock in front of a very plain background drawing, etc. So I'm probably going to add some more rocks, and there's a chance I might add some darker blue foliage behind the deer and just give it a little bit more to make it pop. Again, same with the bee and the flower one. I just feel like it's missing a little bit of something. But right now, having bare bones isn't bad because this is a WIP, and obviously I'm going to post the full thing, and by then everything should be nice and squeaky clean. And again, there's a bunch of stuff that I could do to make things even better, but at this point I am past the point of no return. Most of this stuff is just going to be what it is, and anything I add is just going to be extra layers on top or in between. So here I'm just putting the frames together, you know. I'm putting them together. Like I said, you'll see it at the end. Don't you fret. We're actually coming up on it actually. Right around 26 minutes is when the Animatic is going to play. So we're getting really close. There was a lot of video editing that I did not record off screen. I was having a ton of difficulty with the mouse. I wanted to animate the mouse a little bit. But here I'm just stitching everything together right here. We're about to go back to that mouse anyway. And I really like the zoom in. I like the way it's looking so far, honestly. So the mouse was difficult because I could not for the life of me get this to export with a transparent background. Right now, however, you're just watching me fix it up. I started to make frames for animating the tail and the ears, but the ears were too big to begin with and they weren't the right shape, and I just wasn't going about it the right way. But for the next couple minutes, you can watch me mess with this mouse. See, I didn't record when I fixed everything, unfortunately, but this is what it looked like by the end, and I pressed record for this because I was like, oh crap, I didn't record the process. But trust me, it was tedious. It was as tedious as the clip before this, just I made the ears and the tail look better. That's really all that it was. So here's where I'm struggling, because I kept changing my settings to make sure that the background was transparent, and it just was not working. Here I'm watching YouTube tutorials, I'm trying everything, I'm doing exactly what they're telling me to do, and I am just not getting it. My only assumption is that I don't have QuickTime installed. Maybe that's what it is, because you have to use QuickTime settings. And when I tried to save them as PNGs, they weren't centered. I am really hoping to have this project done in just a couple of weeks, a month tops, if there's really a lot for me to adjust. So if you choose to stick with it, that would be awesome. When I'm done with it, I'm going to try to post it places, and hopefully I can reach an audience that enjoys what they see, and to focus on making my pilot. There are still about 6 videos that I need to make for this channel, but it shouldn't take me long. I dedicate time to it. That's that's the key, is me dedicating time to it. So thank you again a million times. Like and subscribe if you think I'm doing okay, and hopefully I'll see you next time. So here we are. Here's the animatic so far, and I hope you enjoy.